So in this session, we'll start from the competitive aspect of very first chapter of organic chemistry in grade 12 chemistry syllabus, haloalkanes and haloarenes. In this material, there are somewhere around 52 questions covering different concepts of this particular chapter. Here, under each question, we will discuss all the 4 options and we get a lot of information about the competitive aspect. I'll start from question number 1. Which of the following is a secondary alkyl halide? They have given the options. Here, they have simply given the names of the compounds. To answer this question, I should know how to write the structure of these compounds, and then we should know on what basis they are classified into primary, secondary and tertiary alkyl halides. Let's start with question number 1. Let us see what is option A. It is given as isobutyl chloride. So when you say isobutyl chloride, you know it is the chain isomer of N-butyl chloride. It is CH3, CH3, CH2Cl, isobutyl chloride. Let's move over to the second compound, neopentyl chloride. You know, neopentane is the most symmetric, the simplest alkane that you can think of. Here, a carbon atom is connected to 4 methyl groups this way. Now, on this CH3 group, if one of the hydrogen atoms is replaced by chloro group, what we get is a neopentyl chloride. Then I will move over to the third option given, 1-chloropropene. Now, how do I write the structure of 1-chloropropene? Here, immediately after the first carbon atom, you have a double bond, and on the same carbon atom, we must have a chloro group, and go on satisfying tetravalency of each carbon atom. So here I should have 1 hydrogen. Right here we should have 1 hydrogen, and here it is CH3. Now, if you observe this particular alkyl halide, it comes under vinyl halide. Vinyl halide. So what is vinyl halide? The halogen atom must be present on vinylic carbon. What is vinylic carbon? A carbon which is in the form of C double bond C is called vinyl carbon. So this is vinyl halide. Then I will move over to the fourth option given. Fourth one is isopropyl chloride. So it is CH3, CH, Cl and CH3. Once you have written the structures of these compounds, let's go for classification into primary, secondary and tertiary. You know, to be called as primary alkyl halide, the carbon atom carrying halogen atom must possess 2 hydrogens. On the other hand, if there is only 1 hydrogen, I call it as secondary alkyl halide. And if there are no hydrogen atoms, I call it as tertiary alkyl halide. In the first case, you can make out that on the carbon atom carrying the halogen atom, there are 2 hydrogen atoms. That is why this is a primary alkyl halide. Same way, you go to the second example. Here again, carbon atom carrying chlorine atom has 2 hydrogens. Again, this falls under primary alkyl halide. I'll go to the third one. I said the halogen atom is present on vinylic carbon. So this is in the form of vinylic halide. And if I go to the last option, the carbon atom carrying chloro group has only 1 hydrogen atom. That is why this has to be a secondary alkyl halide. In other words, answer for question number 1 must be option D. Let us go to question number 2. In this question, you have to give the IUPAC name of tertiary butyl chloride. For that, first you have to write the structure of tertiary butyl chloride. It is CCH3. Here you have CH3, CH3 and Cl. This is tertiary butyl chloride. Now we have to provide IUPAC name for this compound. For that, let us select the longest continuous chain of carbon atoms. I will go vertically. So this is carbon atom number 1, this is carbon atom number 2, and this is the third carbon atom. You know, in the parent hydrocarbon that is chosen, there are 3 carbon atoms. That's why root word has to be prop. And also, you can make out that the carbon atoms of the main chain are connected to one another by means of single bond. That is why the primary suffix in this case is propane. Now, on the second carbon atom, we have 2 substituents. Which are the 2 substituents? On one side we have a methyl group, on the other side we have a chloro group. You know that the chloro group will never appear as a principal functional group. That's why there is no secondary suffix for chloro group. It should always be treated as a substituent. That is why Cl will also come as a prefix. So you will have 2 prefixes in this case. One is for chloro group, the other one is for methyl group. Now we have to go for alphabetical order. According to alphabetical order, chloro group comes before methyl groups. And also you know that both chloro and methyl groups are present on the second carbon atom. That is why the IUPAC name of this compound must be 2-chloro. On the second carbon atom, you have a chloro group. So 2-chloro, then 2-methyl propane is the IUPAC name. So what's the answer for this particular question? It has to be option C. Let us move over to question number 3. Which of the following is not suitable to prepare an alkyl halide from an alcohol? You know, the general formula of alcohol is ROH. In this case, I have to convert that into alkyl halide REX. You have to identify out of the 4 reagents given, which one cannot be used. Now, if you look at closely, you know, to bring about this conversion, point number 1, I can make use of HX. Hydrogen halide can be used. Or I can go for phosphorus trihalides and pentahalides. I can go for PX3 or I can go for PX5. Also, if it is a chloride, I can also go for thionyl chloride in presence of pyridine. You know, the reaction is called Darjan's reaction. Now, if you go through the options given, if you go for option A, aluminium chloride. You know, aluminium chloride is a Lewis acid. It is used as a catalyst in different reactions, but using aluminium chloride, it is not possible to convert an alcohol into alkyl halide. So, which one cannot be used as a reagent to bring about this particular conversion? It is aluminium chloride. That is why answer for question number 3 has to be option A, AlCl3. The other options given, option B, PCl5, option C, thionyl chloride, and option D, PCl3. So they can be used to bring about conversion. So answer for question number 3 must be option A. Let us move over to question number 4. Alkyl halides cannot be prepared by the iodination of alkane because. In order to explain the reason, let us consider one example. I'll consider methane as alkane and I'll go for iodination I2. Point number 1, this reaction is reversible. So what do we expect? One hydrogen atom of methane should be replaced by iodine. So we have to get methyl iodide CH3I. In addition to that, hydrogen combines with iodine to give you Hi. So what are the disadvantages of this reaction? Point number 1, it is a reversible reaction. What happens at any point of time, you will have all these substances in the reaction mixture. Or in other words, the equilibrium is not driven in the forward direction. What about the yield of the major product that we expect? It would be less. And also, because the reaction mixture contains all the 4 substances, separating the required product becomes difficult. Or in other words, purification is a problem. So the basic problem in this reaction is it is a reversible reaction. What happens when you say it's a reversible reaction? Whatever methyl iodide is formed, that will undergo reduction in the presence of Hi to give back methane and iodine. So it is because of this reason, iodination of alkane cannot be used to prepare alkyl iodide. So what is the answer that you can write? You read out the option. Option A of explosive nature of reaction. It is not correct. Option B, Hi formed reduces alkyl iodide to give back the starting alkane and iodine. So this is in fact is the reason. The third one, toxic byproducts are formed. That is not the suitable one. And fourth option, the reaction is very slow. That is not the option. What's the actual answer then? Answer for this question is option B. Next, we shall go to question number 5. Preparation of alkyl halides in laboratory is least preferred by. So let us go on reading out the options. Option A, treatment of alcohols. Option B, addition of hydrogen halides to alkenes. Option C, halide exchange. And option D, direct halogenation of alkanes. Let us just concentrate on option D, direct halogenation of alkanes. In grade 11 under hydrocarbon chapter, under alkanes, we have studied about chlorination of methane. What happens there, you start from methane, I'm going to treat it with chlorine in presence of diffused sunlight, you will get a mixture of substituted products. Here I will get methyl chloride, then again I'm going to treat it with chlorine, you will get dichloromethane or methylene chloride. This will be subjected to further chlorination. I get chloroform CHCl3 and this CHCl3 is further subjected to chlorination. I will get carbon tetrachloride. So if you go for halogenation of alkane, the problem is we get a series of substituted products, and as you know, the yield will be less. Separation is a problem. That's why we do not go with halogenation of alkane as a method of preparation of alkyl halides. So answer for question number 5 is option D. Let us go to question number 6. Which of the following organic compounds will give a mixture of 1 chlorobutane and 2 chlorobutane on hydrochlorination? What is hydrochlorination? Addition of HCl. So what is mentioned in this question? We have to get a mixture of 2 products. What are those 2 products? I have to get 1 chlorobutane. So this is one product, and the other product that I should get is 2 chlorobutane. So when I say that, it is CH3 CHCl, right, CH2 and CH3. This is what I am supposed to get on addition of HCl. So when you say addition of HCl, it is understood that the starting substance has to be unsaturated hydrocarbon. And in this particular case, I have to go for alkene. And from the skeleton, it is very clear that the alkene must contain 4 carbon atoms. That's why I will go for the skeletal structure of alkene. I'll connect them by means of single bonds, and from the products of the reaction you come to know very clearly that the chloro group should either get added to first carbon atom or it should get added to second carbon atom. So this clearly tells you that the unsaturation has to be present in between first and second carbon atom. Then only it is possible to get a mixture of these 2 products. So imagine I am going to introduce a double bond over here and then satisfy rest of the valencies. It is CH2, it is CH, CH2 and CH3. Now analyze addition of HCl. The first way by which I can get the product is addition of unsymmetrical HCl this way. This is according to Markovnikov's rule, and it has to give 2 chlorobutane as the major product. At the same time, if the addition is carried out like this is against to Markovnikov's rule. You get some amount of product, 1 chlorobutane, but this is formed in lesser quantity. So when you carry out addition of HCl on 1 butene, we get a mixture of products. Out of that, 2 chlorobutane is the major product because the addition takes place according to Markovnikov's rule. 1 chlorobutane is the minor product. So what should be the answer for question number 6? Answer should be option D. And you try with option A, option B and option C. It's very clear that it is not possible to get a mixture of 1 chlorobutane and 2 chlorobutane. When you read the 7th question, you come to know that you have not come across this reaction under your board syllabus. But this reaction is actually a named reaction which is important for your higher level competitive examination. Let us just consider the reaction first of all. They have not given chemical formulae, they have just written it in words. I'll start from silver acetate. So when you say silver acetate, I can write it as CH3COOAg, silver acetate. I am going to treat it with bromine, right? Bromine Br2. The reaction is carried out in the presence of non-polar solvent like CS2. What way reaction takes place? You have silver here, one bromine goes with it. So one product I am going to get is AgBr. Then we have a carbon dioxide that gets eliminated in this reaction. And what else I am left with? Here CH3, here one bromine. What I get is methyl bromide, CH3Br. This is one of the methods of preparing alkyl bromide starting from silver salt of carboxylic acid. And this has a specific name. It is called Hunsdike reaction. It is called Hunsdike reaction. This is a method to prepare alkyl bromide starting from silver salt of carboxylic acid by treating it with bromine in presence of non-polar solvent like carbon disulfide. So what is the answer for question number 7? It has to be option A. So answer for question number 7 is option A. Let us move over to 8th question. Very important question. The major product X of the reaction CH3 thrice CBr. In other words, what we start with is tertiary butyl bromide, and I'm going to heat it with KOH alcoholic. I'm going to heat it. And they have mentioned the byproducts. It is a potassium bromide, and then H2O they have mentioned. Along with that, here they have mentioned the unknown major product X. Now my aim is to find out what is this X. Now look at this reaction. Starting substance is an alkyl halide and the reagent used is an alcoholic KOH. And you know that alcoholic KOH when used with alkyl halide on heating will always answer dehydrohalogenation reaction. Dehydrohalogenation reaction. So what a reaction takes place here? Already you know, during dehydrohalogenation, you know that halogen atom has to go from alpha carbon atom and hydrogen atom has to go from beta carbon atom, and in between alpha and beta carbon atom you have to introduce a double bond in order to satisfy tetravalency of involved carbon atoms. So what should be X then? X has to be, it is CH3, it is single bond C. Here I will have single bond CH3. Of course, bromine has gone with one hydrogen. What I am left with, it is C double bond CH2. So I'll write like this, C double bond CH2. So this should be the major product. The common name of this compound is isobutene. And what's the IUPAC name of this compound? It is a 2-methyl propene. Right? So what's the answer for question number 8? It has to be option A. Now we'll go to question number 9. Alkyl halide is converted to alcohol using. So I have to start from alkyl halide RX. My aim is to convert this into alcohol ROH. For this, I need to replace the X group by OH group. We can use various reagents for this conversion. I think you might have already come across various reagents that can be used. I can make use of, let us say, aqueous potassium hydroxide can be used. We can also use aqueous sodium hydroxide. I can use moist silver oxide. Right? So these are the three reagents which can be used. Now based on this you can answer alcoholic KOH I can't use because alcoholic KOH brings about dehydrohalogenation, and dehydrohalogenation of an alkyl halide always gives you alkene. So alcoholic KOH cannot be used, so option A is ruled out. Aqueous KOH can I use? Yes, I can use aqueous KOH. Can I use water? No, water cannot be used. It's a weaker nucleophile, can't be used. And dilute HCl, of course, we cannot use. So, what is the answer for question number 9? It has to be option B. It is aqueous KOH. Move over to question number 10. They have given the equation for the reaction. Start from alcohol, I'll treat it with hydrogen halide. This has to give you RX plus H2O. What is asked is, when HX is fixed, what is the order of reactivity of different types of alcohols? What I mean by that, order of reactivity of tertiary alcohols, secondary alcohols and primary alcohols towards a given HX. Right, so let's just analyze the order of reactivity. You see, when I say tertiary alcohol, you have a COH. I'm taking one particular example. What happens in case of tertiary alcohols is, you have 3 methyl groups, all of them exerting plus I effect. There are 3 methyl groups exerting plus I effect. As a result, electron density on this carbon atom increases. In turn, this carbon atom pushes the electron density towards oxygen atom of OH group. Or in other words, this OH group can go out easily in the form of OH minus. Because if OH has to go, it has to go in the form of OH minus. In other words, OH must be able to accept higher electron density from carbon. So that is possible in case of tertiary alcohol because of the presence of 3 methyl groups exerting plus I effect. Also, if I consider steric factor, you know the carbon atom carrying OH group is sterically surrounded by 3 methyl groups. Now, whenever there are 3 methyl groups, it causes a steric crowding. So, the system tries to reduce steric crowding. So, what way it is possible? It has to push out one particular group from the molecule. So which group it can push it out easily? It is a OH group. So what happens to steric crowding? Steric crowding will be reduced. So because of these two factors, the order of reactivity of different classes of alcohols towards a particular hydrogen halide is, a tertiary alcohol is more reactive than secondary alcohol, and secondary alcohol is more reactive than primary alcohol. So what should be the answer for question number 10? It has to be option A. Let us move over to question number 11. We are talking about Darjan's process. What is Darjan's process? I start from alcohol. I'm going to treat it with thionyl chloride. Reaction is carried out in the presence of pyridine. and you have to reflux the reactant mixture. We get RCl. In addition to that, I get SO2 and HCl as byproducts. SO2 and HCl as byproducts. So, if you look at this, alkyl chloride is a liquid. What about sulfur dioxide and HCl? Both of them are gases. So, under the reaction condition, where we are refluxing the reactant mixture, the formed gaseous byproducts, namely sulfur dioxide and HCl, will simply escape off from the reaction mixture, and what we get is a pure alkyl chloride. It's for this reason, use of thionyl chloride is preferred to convert an alcohol into alkyl chloride. Hence, answer for question number 11 must be option C. What is option C? Give pure alkyl halides due to gaseous byproducts. Let us go to question number 12. Chlorobenzene is prepared commercially by. Now, let us just analyze the various processes that are mentioned. If I start from Downs process, what is Downs process? It is manufacture of sodium metal or magnesium metal by electrolysis of fused sodium chloride or magnesium chloride. So this is what is Downs process. I'll go to option B. They have mentioned about what is called Rastich's process. So what is Rastich's process? I'll start from benzene. I'm going to treat it with HCl, subject it to air oxidation, and reaction is carried out in the presence of cupric chloride as the catalyst, and reaction is carried out at around 400 degrees Celsius. What happens is one hydrogen here, one hydrogen from carbon atom of the benzene ring, and one oxygen here. So a molecule of water will be removed and a chloro group gets introduced on the benzene ring. So what we have obtained is chlorobenzene, and this method is what is called Rastich's process. And this process is used to obtain chlorobenzene in commercial scale. What about the other option? If I go for option C, let's say Decon's process. What is Decon's process? I start from HCl, I'll subject it to air oxidation. The reaction is carried out in the presence of cupric chloride catalyst at 723 Kelvin. So what we get here I get 2 moles of chlorine. In addition to that, I get 2 moles of water. In fact, Decon's method is a method of manufacture of chlorine gas by air oxidation of HCl in presence of cupric chloride catalyst. And what is Itard's process? Under aldehyde ketone chapter, you are going to study about this. Actually, we start from what is called toluene. We'll subject this to oxidation, and oxidation is carried out in presence of chromyl chloride. Chromyl chloride is CrO2Cl2. The reaction is carried out in the presence of non-polar solvent like CS2 or CCl4. The product obtained here is benzaldehyde CHO. In addition to that, we get water, and this is Itard's reaction. So once you are familiar with all the four, identifying answer becomes easier. So what should be the answer to commercially obtain chlorobenzene? It should be Rastich's process. So what is the answer for question number 12? It has to be option B. Move over to 13th question. Which of the following is the least reactive in a nucleophilic substitution reaction? You know, if I start from aryl halide or if I consider vinyl halide, both of them are unreactive towards nucleophilic substitution reaction. What is the reason? You have already come across this. The carbon halogen bond in case of aryl halide and vinyl halide has a partial double bond character due to resonance. I can go on writing the resonating structures like this. So in case of aryl halide, right, I'll have a double bond here, and here I have a negative charge, double bond, and here you have a double bond, EX. On halogen, we have two lone pairs and a positive charge. And you know, this process keeps on continuing like this. So, if you observe resonance hybrid, you know, the carbon halogen bond in case of aryl halide will have a partial double bond character. Same way, if I consider vinyl halide, you know, the lone pair of electron gets shifted here. In turn, you know, this double bond gets shifted on the carbon atom. I can write the resonating structure now. CH2 will have a negative charge, single bond, CH double bond EX. So on EX, I will have a positive charge. Here again, you observe that carbon halogen bond has a partial double bond character. And you know, as the bond order increases, bond strength increases, breaking carbon halogen bond in case of vinyl halide and aryl halide becomes more and more difficult. In other words, we say aryl halides and vinyl halides are unreactive towards nucleophilic substitution reaction, mainly because of partial double bond character of carbon halogen bond due to resonance. In other words, to answer question number 13, either you have to identify an aryl halide or we have to go for vinyl halide. And if you observe, you come to know that option A, if you consider, it is a vinyl halide, that's why it has to be the least reactive one. Going to question number 14. Aim is to obtain butane nitrile. Reagent used is KCN. And I should know what should be the starting substance. To understand that, first I should know how to write the structure of butane nitrile. Very commonly students go wrong in writing the structure of butane nitrile. Remember, here, including carbon atom of CN group, there must be 4 carbon atoms. Or in other words, I can write this as, it is a CH3, it is a CH2, CH2, CN. So this is what is butane nitrile. I repeat, including the carbon atom of the nitrile group, there must be 4 carbon atoms. Now, this I have to obtain using, you know, alcoholic KCN. So, what should be starting substance? Obviously, it has to be an alkyl halide. Now, what should be the alkyl halide? I am using KCN. And because of this CN, number of carbon atom increases by 1. So, in the final product, if we have 4 carbon atoms, in the starting substance there must be only 3 carbon atoms because 4th carbon atom is contributed by Cn minus ion from KCN. So in the starting substance, I should have only 3 carbon atoms, and I told you it has to be an alkyl halide. So it can be chloride, bromide or iodide. So just to see what is the option given here, it is obviously chloride. So I'll have single bond Cn. So what should be the starting substance? It has to be N-propyl chloride, which is the common name, or I can say it is a 1-chloropropane, IUPAC name. And what is the byproduct we will get here? It has to be KCl. So what is the answer for question number 14? It has to be N-propyl chloride. And what's the N-propyl chloride here? It is option D. So in this question, you should know what is the structure of butane nitrile. Then only you can answer this question correctly. Let us move over to question number 15. Question is, alkyl halide on heating with ammonia in a sealed tube result in. So let us just consider this. I'll start from ammonia. So ammonia is NH3. I'm going to heat it with an alkyl halide in a sealed tube under pressure. What happens now is a molecule of HX is removed. So what do we get? We will get R single bond NH2. So this is a primary amine. Reaction does not stop. It will react with one more molecule of alkyl halide. So on nitrogen you have a lone pair of electron. Attack has to take place like this. So again a molecule of HX is removed. I will get a secondary amine. So this is a secondary amine. This secondary amine is further treated with one more molecule of alkyl halide. So this secondary amine still will act as a nucleophile, will attack this R group. X group goes out as X minus. So what we get here is RNR and R. So what I get is a tertiary amine. And this tertiary amine can again act as a nucleophile, will react with one more molecule of alkyl halide. So now what I get is a quaternary ammonium salt, which I represent it like this. On nitrogen you have a positive charge, and here you should have X minus. So what I get here is a quaternary ammonium salt. Now the question is, what will be the product obtained when you make use of alcoholic ammonia with alkyl halide? The answer depends upon the relative quantities of ammonia and alkyl halide. If suppose they do not mention anything about the relative quantities, then the product obtained will be mixture of primary amine, secondary amine, tertiary amine and quaternary ammonium salt. So no quantities mentioned. Product obtained should be a mixture of primary, secondary, tertiary amine and quaternary ammonium salt. On the other hand, if I make use of excess of alkyl halide, the reaction proceeds and we get quaternary ammonium salt as the exclusive product. I repeat, if I make use of excess of alkyl halide, the exclusive product that you would get is quaternary ammonium salt. On the other hand, if I use ammonia in excess, the reaction stops at primary amine stage and primary amine will be the exclusive product formed. When you read this question, they have not mentioned anything about the relative quantities As a result, I have to get a mixture of primary, secondary and tertiary amine and also quaternary ammonium salt. That's why answer for question number 15 must be option D. Let us go to question number 16. Alkyl halides react with magnesium in dry ether to form. I start from alkyl halide RX. I'll treat it with magnesium ribbon in presence of dry ether. I'll reflux the reactant mixture. You know, magnesium gets inserted in between R and X. What we get is RMgX. RMgX is nothing but alkyl magnesium halide, and alkyl magnesium halide in general, organomagnesium halide, are called Grignard reagents. Grignard reagent. So what is the product obtained? It has to be Grignard reagent. So answer for question number 16 must be option B. When we move over to 17th question, when CH3, CH2, CHCl2, I'll represent it like this. CH3, it is CH2, thereafter I have CHCl2. So when I say CHCl2, I'll represent it like this. And I'll treat it with sodamine, NaNH2. You have not come across this reagent, but remember, NaNH2 is a very, very strong base. Very, very strong base. Hence, this will bring about dehydrohalogenation again. Brings about dehydrohalogenation. In other words, if I do not use alcoholic KOH, I can still use sodamide to bring about dehydrohalogenation reaction. So what should happen during dehydrohalogenation? I've already told you, this is a alpha carbon atom, this is a beta carbon atom. So in the first step, one halogen from alpha, one hydrogen from beta should go. As a result, in between alpha and beta carbon atom, double bond will be formed to satisfy tetravalency. But because I'm using a very strong base sodamide, dehydrohalogenation takes place second time. In the second time, this chloro group will go with one more beta hydrogen that is left on beta carbon atom. Now what should happen? One more bond has to get introduced in between alpha and beta carbon atom. Or in other words, what we get should be an alkyne. In other words, the product obtained in this case must be, it is a CH3C triple bond CH. In other words, if you make use of alcoholic KOH, dehydrohalogenation, but dehydrohalogenation takes place only once, you get alkene. Now, if you further want to bring about dehydrohalogenation, we have to go for a stronger base like sodamide. So this brings about dehydrohalogenation twice. That's why this is a method of preparation of alkyne. So answer for question number 17 must be option B. Next. Which of the following statements are correct about ethyl bromide? Let us read out the statements one by one. It reacts with metallic sodium to give ethane. Just check. You have a ethyl bromide C2H5Br What is mentioned? It reacts with sodium metal, right? So what should happen? I'll start from 2 moles of ethyl bromide. I'll treat it with 2 atoms of sodium. Reaction is carried out in presence of dry ether. The product obtained should be, C4H10. In addition to that, I get 2 moles of NaBr. What is obtained here is butane, and this reaction is a named reaction. It is called Wood's reaction. So what should be the product formed in this case? It has to be butane. What is the statement here? Metallic sodium to give ethane. So product should be butane. So statement A is incorrect. I'll move over to the second statement. Statement B. It gives nitroethane when treated with aqueous ethanolic AgNO2. Let's just see the reaction. It is a C2H5Br. I'm going to treat it with AgNO2. Right? You have already come across this reaction. AgNO2 does not undergo dissociation. So, in this ambidentate nucleophile, now the attacking agent is nitrogen. So this nitrogen with a lone pair of electron has to attack this ethyl group, and bromo group should get removed in the form of Br minus. So what should be the product form? The product form should be C2H5NO2. In addition to that, I will get silver bromide. So what is the product that is formed? It is nitroethane. Product formed is nitroethane, and just check the statement. It gives nitroethane with aqueous ethanolic solution of AgNO2. So this statement is right, the first statement is wrong. I'll move over to option C. It gives ethanol on boiling with alcoholic potash. When I say ethyl bromide, CH3CH2Br, I'm going to heat it with alcoholic potash. So, which type of reaction you expect? Dehydrohalogenation. So, halogen must go from alpha carbon atom, hydrogen must go from beta carbon atom, and in between alpha and beta, what we get is a double bond. So, the product formed in this case must be ethene in addition to potassium bromide and water. So, what is the product obtained? It has to be ethene. But what is given? It is given that ethanol is formed. That's why the third statement, option C, is also incorrect statement. Let's move over to statement D. It forms ethyl acetate on heating with silver acetate. Let us just check it. So silver acetate is CH3COOAg. I am going to heat it with ethyl bromide. So I write it as BrC2H5. So when you heat it, from here silver will go, from here bromo group will go. So what we get is a CH3COOC2H5. In addition to that, I get silver bromide. So what is the product obtained? It is ethyl acetate. We get ethyl acetate. Just check, it forms ethyl acetate on heating with silver acetate. Is that the correct one? Yes. So this is the correct statement. Or in other words, for this question, there are 2 correct options. Which are they? One is option B and another one is option D. So both of them are correct. 2,6-dimethylheptane on monochlorination produces dash derivatives. We have to talk about structural isomers. How many structural isomers are possible? To understand that, first let us write the structure of 2,6-dimethyl heptane. So it has 7 carbon atoms in the main chain, 7 carbon atoms. And on the second and the sixth, we should have dimethyl. So it is CH3, and here you should have CH3. And then rest of the valencies I'll satisfy by hydrogen. CH3 here, CH, it is CH2. Here it is CH2, here CH2. Here I should have H, and here it should be CH3. Right? Now, just look at this particular molecule and find out how many monochlorinated isomers are possible. Right. First, one chloro group can get introduced over here. Whether it is here or it is here, it's one and the same. Okay, so in this case I can get 1. Next, I can replace it by this hydrogen. I can replace it. So this should be the second one. Or I can replace one hydrogen atom from here. So this can be the third one, right? And then I can replace even this one hydrogen atom by, a chloro group. So this can be one more. And let us not talk about substituting hydrogen atoms on this side, because it is going to be the same as this. Because when you look at this molecule, this molecule is a symmetric one. Symmetric molecule it is. So on one side I talk about monochlorination. So how many structural isomers are possible? You see, I can get 1 from this 2. If I replace one hydrogen atom either from this CH3 or this CH3, I'll get 1. If I replace this hydrogen atom, I'll get 2. If I replace this hydrogen atom by chlorine, I'll get 3. And I replace this hydrogen by 1 chlorine, I'll get 4. So the question here is, how many structural isomers are possible by monochlorination? So here, remember, I'm not talking anything about the change in the carbon skeleton. I'm not talking anything about what are called chain isomers. I'm just replacing the hydrogen atom by one chlorine atom, monochlorinated products. How many structural isomers must be possible? 4 structural isomers must be possible. Or in other words, answer for this question must be option D. I repeat, if I go on replacing hydrogen atoms from this side, it will be same as replacing hydrogen from this direction. That's why I stopped replacing hydrogen atom by one chlorine atom at this particular stage. I am going to get 4 structural isomers. Let us start from vinyl chloride. Vinyl chloride you are aware of, it is CH2 double bond CH, single bond Cl. I'll add HCl to it. In this case, you can make out that the substrate is unsymmetrical. The adding species is again unsymmetrical. Markovnikov's rule comes into picture. And according to Markovnikov's rule, the negative part of the adding species, in this case it is a chlorine atom, should go to that carbon atom involved in the double bond containing lesser number of hydrogen atoms. Here this carbon atom carries only one hydrogen, whereas this carbon atom carries two hydrogen. So according to Markovnikov's rule, the major product is obtained by connecting chlorine atom to this particular carbon atom. And hydrogen should go to this carbon atom. So what should be the major product that we get is CH3, double bond becomes single bond, and CH single bond Cl and single bond Cl. This is the major product that is obtained according to Markovnikov's addition rule. So what should be the name of the compound? It has to be, It has to be 1,1-dichloroethane. 1,1-dichloroethane. And hence, what should be the answer for this question? It has to be option A.